All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We appreciate you being here. We're going to try and roll through this. We're going to try and spend like half hour, 40 minutes on the webinar itself, and we're going to open up for Q&A at the end. We're going to try and cap this at an hour, so that way we're not sucking up everybody's time. You're going to get the actual paper, like on paper documented follow-up process from us. You'll get that in an email after the call, and that'll probably be tomorrow because we're going to email you a copy of the webinar and all the entries for 7-day follow-up and 30-day follow-up. The webinar itself here is more to give you a better idea about what it looks like to follow up appropriately and to follow up ruthlessly. So we're just going to jump right in. Tyler, do you think I got that right? Am I accurate? Yeah, you don't know? You're muted, but okay. Thanks for that. You're such a great help. Always a great time. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to talk about why most people suck at sales. Truthfully, if you're not following up, you're losing. That's the truth. Follow up is quite literally, I'd say a solid 80% of the shops that we work with, this is their problem. They're calling their leads and people who have expressed interest once or twice, and that's it. When it takes longer than that to get people to the point where sometimes you can even make contact or get them to respond to you. We see this all the time, and I know Tyler's going to jump in and agree with me, is that we see people, they don't give every lead the same type of energy. Just because a lead has a 1998 Prowler or whatever shitbox is on the opt-in, nobody wants to call that person because they probably want a regular detail or they want something small. When the truth is that you don't know what else they have or if they're just cleaning up one car to get ready for the next one. The most important part of this is that you're willing to give each lead the same amount of energy. Because even if these guys just want standard services, there's always an opportunity to cross-sell and there's always an opportunity to upsell. So there's always the upgraded package for detailing, and then there's always cross sells into glass coatings and paint coatings and interior coatings. Tyler, I know you want to chime in on this too. Oh, maybe I should unmute you, huh? There you go. Now you should be able to unmute.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm rude. I'm super rude.
There we go. What's up, guys? Yeah, one of the prime examples I was on a conversation with a customer the other day, and the best thing for them was that they've been starting to connect with people who have just an array of different cars. They'll get one in and it's whatever it might be. Maybe it's a ship box, but then all of a sudden they have a car collection or their cousin has a car collection or their dad, you know what I mean? That's why we talk about giving the same energy to every single lead, no matter what it is, because you don't know where it's going to lead to. So it was just funny that I had a conversation with a customer literally about this the other day, and that $2,000 job or even that $300 detail all of a sudden turns into $10,000 worth of work over the next month.
I have a gentleman that brought us his Aston Martin. It's a 2014, believe it or not, and it's got low miles, but usually people that have super cars of an older age, they usually are just looking for something lower end, middle of the road. And ultimately, he wanted something nicer, but I was fully expecting him to want that lower end service. And I sent him some pictures the other day. You saw me post it on Facebook with the Aston on the lift and the edges all hidden. He sends me a message back today and says, I love the detail, super happy to see it up on the lift. What does he hit me with? A text message string of the other $6 million worth of cars that he owns and the storage facility he has them in. So this job that originally somebody would have been like, he doesn't want to spend a ton of money. Now he'll give me $100,000 over the next 2 years. I can almost guarantee it. And that's one guy. That don't discount these leads. Don't be, just because they have a lower end car does not mean that you're going to net less. Follow up is indeed the key to winning. It is quite literally the lifeblood, because the more leads that you follow up with, the more sales you are ultimately going to convert. And the more leads that you ignore, the lower yours. It's that simple. It's simple math. The more people you talk to, the more sales you're going to get. That's the bottom line. Like the math is simple. Talk equals money. No talk equals no money. I don't know if I could get any simpler than that. But the next question I usually get is, how should I follow up with people? And this is the big four right here. Email, phone, text. The last one, you need a specific system that supports using a voicemail drop. The biggest question I hear, and I'm sure Tyler will say, is, what should I do first? The first thing you do is text. Always. And every time. You text first, and then if they don't respond immediately, you call them. And then if they don't answer the call, you leave them a voicemail. And then you text them that you left them a voicemail. And then you send them an email, right? And the cycle repeats. It's not just one or the other. You can't just sell over text or just sell over email. It's an entire ecosystem that makes this work. And skipping any one of these, typically you're just leaving money on the table.
Technology is cool, man. I was gonna say in the last thing you said, I was talking to someone earlier today, and it was like, "Hey, what should I do more of?" I said, "Have more conversations." It's really that simple, right? If you need 10 leads to close a deal and you only get 5 web submissions, you got to go talk to 5 more people. You know what I mean? Go to the coffee shop. You know what I mean? Do an event. Yeah, I don't care what you have to do. Go talk to 5 more people. You know what I mean? It's just funny. But yeah, as far as email, phone, text, voicemail, tribe, yeah, you should be doing all of it. And there's going to be times, depending on where your lead's coming from, whether it's the website, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, that might change a little bit and you can test that. It might be email first, it might be text first, whatever, but it's always good to do all of the above, especially with follow up.
Let's move into one of the most important concepts here, and that's buy or die. If any of you have seen Wolf of Wall Street, what's the one line? I want you to deal with your problems by getting rich, right? This is like the most quintessential sales guy movie. And this is the bit in the movie where he's, I'm not fucking leaving, which is my favorite, if I'm really honest with you. But a lot of people will talk to me and say, I feel like I'm annoying people. I feel like I'm being bothersome. And this is the truth. If you feel like you're bothering somebody, you really shouldn't be running sales. Or you really shouldn't be running an owner-operator style of business. Because truthfully, you need to be annoying. That's the whole point. This person came to you with a need. They expressed a need. You need to be willing to hammer these people. And when I say hammer, you're going to ask them to buy from you until the end of time, until they die, or they tell you to fuck off. Pardon my language. Just kidding. Until they tell you to piss off. I don't care if that lead comes in for an interior detail. If you can't reach them, your job is to follow up with that lead either directly or long-term automation, one of those two, until they tell you to go away or to unsubscribe me or don't talk to me. Buy or die. Every person that has worked with us that has adapted this as their primary way of operating is doing 6 figures and above in their shops. Guys who have onboarded with us doing 30, 40, 50K a month now are doing 110, 120, 130 because they're absolute relentless savages on the phone and text and email. They don't take being ignored for an answer. They don't stop. And you shouldn't either. If you truly can't get behind being persistent enough to be told to piss off, get somebody else to run your sales department for you because this is how this works. That's how this works. And I promise you, I've seen enough businesses to know that this is the most successful way. You can be a professional, consummate professional all day long, but if you can't get the person on the phone or to talk to you, then you got no shot at selling them anything.
I think it's important to note too, listen, at the end of the day, if you're looking to run like a $30,000 shop and you're cool with being booked 6 weeks out or whatever, that's cool. If that's what you want, beautiful. But if you're looking to scale and grow a business, $1 million plus, this is what you have to adapt to. This is what you have to bring on the table because yes, you can get booked out naturally, $30,000 a month or whatever, 1-man shop or 2-man shop and just be happy. And that's cool. But if you're looking to build a big operation and you're going to be killers when it comes to sales, this is what you have to do.
You better be a savage. You better be willing to eat at the big boy in the big girl table. Otherwise, go back and sit at the kids table. This is the first of 4 or 5 golden rules I have in this presentation. You're going to work for it. Only 2% of sales typically happen on the first touch, the first call, first point of contact. A lot of people have a misconception that when they get leads or they get messages and they get people who are interested, that they should only have to call them once or twice. When the truth is you're going to have to put in more time and effort to get the sale to begin with, which means you're going to see on average what that looks like here in a minute. You're going to see what the customer journey looks like and how long it's going to take. But you're going to have to work for it. If you're expecting easy lay down sales, go sell cars. And even then, that's not that easy. Go work in a lingerie store or something like that because everyone's not going to be a $10,000 a $1,000, $2,000 ticket on the first time that they call you or second time they call you. More touches equals more sales. And I think a lot of people just think, oh, I called this person, I texted this person, I emailed this person, what else should I do? Anytime that you make an outbound movement or action on a potential prospect, You respond to a text, you respond to an email, you call them back, you send an invoice, you send a proposal. Any outbound interaction that you have as a business is a touch. And all the data that we can collect and see from clients of ours, majority of our clients use our Grit Suite CRM, and it allows us to gather data points and see what the typical level of action is before a prospect gets to the goalpost. And on average, there is 20 different touch points before a client reaches close. And this kind of goes with the other one. You are going to have to work for it. You cannot shortcut this. You're going to have to give the energy. Tyler, I know you want to add.
No, you said it. I think a lot of people probably are wondering, why do I have to do that? And then if they understand why, or if they're starting to understand why, what are all those different touch points? And I think the biggest part is like, how can you set yourself apart and how can you get creative in doing this? I was talking to Armando earlier today. We were talking about just this, and it was like, hey, have you ever done that car before? Yeah, I have. Send them the picture of the car that you did, right? Send them a video, proof of concept, right? Send them the customer review.
Yep.
We actually talked about sending a quick 15-second personal video message of, hey, I'm walking around the shop. Hey, check out the ceramic coated car over here, PPF car over here. Would love to get you in the shop to talk to you about your vehicle. Done. Just doing that personal 15-second message, something like that, to show that you're like a real person, that you actually care about their business, that could really go a long way. So there's a lot of different, variations of things that you can do to add to those different touch points. It's not just as simple as, hey, are you interested? Hate that. Hey, are you still interested?
It's not just interest that you're asking for. It's how can I help and how can we help serve you, right? We've worked on your car before. Check this out. Come and take a look and see what good paint protection film looks like. Come on in and see what a top tier install looks like, right? It's not just about asking for the sale. You're going to have to get creative. And if creative means that you need to send YouTube links or you need to send pictures or videos, that's what it takes. This is the golden rule right here. And that is first under 5 wins. First vendor to contact the client in under 5 minutes usually wins the sale if they're participating start to finish. Meaning that for every minute you wait after 5 to get a hold of leads, the convertibility for that lead drops by 80%. And eventually it just goes negative. So the point here is that if you're waiting to get back to leads longer than 5-10 minutes max, you're leaving money on the table. So that means it's your job to develop a system or hire people to help you or to enable them to get to these people immediately. That means having somebody to answer the phone, replying back to messages and emails immediately, replying back to social media, leaving comments, answering questions on social media. These are some of the most important key components that are so often missed and just completely just like over the head. People are like, oh yeah, I typically call them back in an hour. And I'm just like, my head hurts. An hour is not acceptable. You need to be like flies on shit with people. Please, the longer you wait, the harder it will be to convert people. Get on them immediately. I'm going to jump up here. This is another big one. Keep your word. If you text somebody and say, hey, I'm in the middle of cleaning a car, or I'm laying film down, I'll call you back in an hour, and then you don't call them, that just begins to demonstrate how unreliable you are. Most people take notice of that. And overall studies say that 42% of prospective customers say they would be more likely to make a purchase if their sales rep kept their promise and called back in a timely manner. People notice these things. They remember who said they're going to call, who was going to call them when they called, and how punctual they are, right? Sometimes it might just be 5-10 minutes. And if it happens once, that's understandable. But if it's on every single touch, you can bet that they're going to find somebody else to lead them to the water. So prioritize getting back to these people when you say you are. And that leads to the next point is that first to 5 does not mean that you necessarily need to have a full breakdown conversation with them in those first 5 minutes. You just need to make contact. Say, it could be call, it could be text, it could be something. Hey, it's Gabe over at Ceramic Pro Pottstown. I just wanted to let you know that I got your message and I wanted to talk more about your Tesla. And they say, yeah. And they say, I'm in the middle of putting paint protection foam on a car right now. Can I call you back in an hour? And I was like, I want to get this done so I don't need to do it twice and I want to give you my full attention, right? What person hears that and then says, this isn't the person that I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to these guys. I already let them know that I have the same type of car, right? And I want to do a good job on this car, and I want to give them all my attention. Who hears that and says, this isn't the shop for me? That's one key takeaway. Tyler, do you want to touch on this before I move on?
I think it's important, and this could be maybe something I could touch on at the end, but I'm just going to throw it in right now. It's important to realize everything that is being said here, especially keep your word, because if you drop the ball in any avenue of your follow-up, I want you guys to realize whether it's a organic lead or a paid lead, you guys are literally advertising for another shop because they will take their business somewhere else. And you're the reason they started this in the first place, right? So they might have seen your Facebook ad, they might have seen your YouTube video, they might have seen driving by your shop on the road. And because you didn't pick up the phone or you didn't text back or call back, you just advertised for another business that's going to get the work.
Because they're going to go down the list and look for the next one.
100%. So do not take it for granted. You want to be on top of these guys. You want to be professional. You want to take, if you pay $20 leads or $100 lead, whatever it might be, take it every little advantage that you can get and make sure you follow through.
So the next one is we have guys that work with us that use our GridSuite CRM. Our CRM has automation capabilities built in, quite literally configurable to the end of time. Automation is not enough to rely on. It's okay to have automation in play for when your system is smart enough to know when there hasn't been contact in a certain amount of time, when it has a job to do in terms of dripping content to people. Just know that automation is not enough. Automation works when you add it in addition to your manual touches, your manual phone calls, your manual text messages. That's how automation works. You hear us talk about automation all the time and how it saves time and saves energy, and it's a great tool. It converts a lot. It engages cold leads and re-engages people months later. The point of all that is to say that automation is not enough. It is supposed to work in a system in addition to the manual effort that you put in. And how to automate follow-up is with a CRM. And there are two different types of CRMs. There's sales CRMs like GridSuite, like ours, that are designed to automate marketing and sales processes. And then there are long-term post-service follow-up CRMs and scheduling CRMs. That would be your Able, Ceramic Pro Shop Manager, TintWiz, Orbis X. Those are all scheduling, invoicing, and post-service CRMs. They're two different things because the sales CRM needs so much more in terms of capability. Getting them all into one CRM by itself is typically a lot of work for developers. So you should be very cautious or be aware that if you want actual lead and marketing automation, it needs to be a sales CRM. The only other one I'm aware of that does what GridSuite does is Shop Manager or Sales Manager, the Sales Manager plugin for Shop Manager from Ceramic Pro. That's the only other one that I'm aware of that works like that. We're going to open this up for questions. Now, again, everyone wants, what's your follow-up sequence? We're going to email that to you after this is completed. Make sure that you guys join the Facebook group. You can search for it online on Facebook, Business and Marketing Strategies for Ceramic Coating, Window Tint, and PPF. We do a ton of talking in that group. It's an open community, but it's only business owners. A lot of the BS that you see, what should I charge for this and what should I charge for that, isn't in this group. Again, a link to that group is going to be emailed to you. I'm going to close my presentation here and just touch on, so this is one of the 6-day sequences here that you're going to get a copy of this. And again, this is to give you a framework of what a sequence should look like. So if you don't have a follow-up sequence to put in play or to use with a system, you can do this by hand, right? The goal here is you get a system that works, right? So this intensive setup is email and text message to start, and then it transitions into a long-term email, phone, text message game over 30 days. So we're going to deliver this to you. You're going to get this via email after the fact.